Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is SirPaco and today we're going to be going over Destiny Child Ragna Break Season 4. I am making this video right now targeting the new players that are joining us. I know the crossover with Blue Blaze has brought some new faces into the game, as well as the Brown Dust crossover. So I'm looking to give them that little bit of information that they're going to need to get a good start with Ragna Break. I know it's a little confusing with how to advance on it, what to focus on. So that's what we're here to do. Give people some insight on the ins and outs. Now, if we go into the Ragna Break menu, you'll have your boss list where anybody on your friends list, if they have opened up a boss, it will appear here. Once you have opened up a boss, it will appear here also, and your friends will be able to attack it. Now, keep in mind, it is common courtesy to not attack a raid that the person who opened it has not attacked. With that said, there will be some random spawns of jellies that come out, and those jellies award gold. It is a known thing that if you spawn a jelly, it's open game. Friends or not friends, we will all attack it because gold is valuable. So make sure that you keep your eye on your account, and if a gold jelly spawns, you attack it immediately. If we move over to the next one, we've got the raid story. There are 8 stages that come with a Ragna that give you a little bit of the story background as to what's going on, why this event is here. Once you complete it all, you will get those bonus rewards at the bottom, as well as these stages reward upon completion some crystals, some evolution crystals. So they are beneficial to do if you need crystals. If not, then you can farm something else to spawn raids. We'll get into that in just a moment. So next menu over, we've got the raid shop. As you attack these Ragna bosses and keep moving forward, you're going to be collecting Ragna coins, and these Ragna coins are used in the shop. So we've got 5 tiers of rewards that you have to work your way through. You buy the first 4 rewards and then you get the tier reward for free. Once that has been collected, you can reset and move on to the next tier. Every tier going up is going to be a lot more expensive than the previous tier, but the rewards become better as you go. You've got premium summon tickets that reset every day. You get 5 a day. Right now, they are for 4,000 Ragna coin apiece. And I do recommend that you get them unless you are a brand new player and this is your first Ragna that you've ever done. If this is your very first Ragna, you do not know how well your team can do or compete in the Ragna raids. Therefore, you want to focus on the tier rewards first, and then you can backtrack and buy the other items. Right now, we currently have a mission that requires these fireworks in order to complete. Again, they are super important and super crucial, but until you know how you perform in Ragnas, you don't want to purchase anything that is outside of the tier rewards. The raid reset is something that used to matter. In today's world, in global, it's really not that useful, so do not reset your raids. If you make it too high to where you can no longer place first, second, or third, then you might want to consider it, but in the big picture, resetting your raid is never a good idea. You always want to hit at least raid 40 one time so you can unlock Slayer, which we will get into in just a moment. And keep moving from there. Every day you get 5 raid tickets so that instead of farming and fishing for raids, you can instantly summon a raid. And it is a part of your Ragna missions to use those raid tickets every single day. I believe the final reward is using 25 tickets total, so make sure that you are absolutely using them every single day. Alright, so before we move on to the Ragna ranks and the Slayer raids, the Slayer ranks, let's go back to the raid list. So, in order to summon these Ragnas, you need to fish them out of the story mode, or you could do the Ragna story. The best place, the fastest place that people have found is to farm 1-1, since there are only 2 stages in the fight. If you do tutorial 4, I believe there's only 1 stage if you do the first one, and it only costs 2 stamina. Therefore, since there are less enemies, you can complete them faster, and since it costs less stamina, you can complete more. Upon completing a stage, you will have the chance to spawn a Ragna, and it will be either the next level for you, or it could be a random jelly for that level bracket that you're in. Everybody starts with a level 1 Ragna, and in order to level up your Ragna, you have to damage the Ragna and do at least more than 2% damage, and it has to complete. If it does not complete, you do not level up. But if it does complete, you go to the next stage. So you start at 1, you attack it, somebody kills it, the next time you spawn a Ragna, it will be level 2. The goal is to get to level 40 so that you can unlock what is called Slayer raids. For us, Slayer raids have not been unlocked yet, so I can't show you the full features. They unlock tonight after reset. So if we click on Slayer raid, it'll tell you not available at the moment. But what happens is, once you've attacked a Ragna, if you spawn a Ragna and you've attacked in it, you have to attack. You get this button that allows you to call Slayers instead of just call friends. And it incentivizes those of us that have already hit level 40 to go into the Slayer raid, where it shows us 3 different battles of people who have called for Slayers. As you attack those raids and complete them, you earn a Slayer point. And upon completing 20 battles in one day, you can collect chests for every 5 that you do. So there's definitely a big incentive to do at least a minimum of 20 Slayer raids a day. Of course, you could do more in order to earn a higher Slayer rank. The more damage you do inside of Slayer battles, the higher you will rank, the more points you will get, and that gives you a separate reward from the normal Ragna rank rewards. So, moving on from there, we're going to talk about the meta. The best thing you can do as a new player is go into the Ragna rank and find out what are the top ranking players using. You can do so by clicking on their name on their bar anywhere on the screen, and it'll pop up with their team and their leader. As you can see, the number 1 ranking player on Destiny Child Global right now is using a team of Bikini Lisa, 6-star, +6, maxed out S-class as the leader, with maxed out Koga, maxed out Pantheon, maxed out Jacoby, and a 6-star +5 Siren. What this tells us is that with the leader ability from Lisa, that weakens the weak point skill final blow +8, in raids plus another additional 8, you have a 16% final skill blow on that, which they are taking advantage of with both Siren and Jacoby. They threw Pantheon in for the crit buff and the crit damage buff, and you have Koga in there for speed buffs. So that's the number 1 ranking team. Before we move on, let's check a couple more people, and so to get a feel for what the top ranking teams are. We've got Bikini Lisa lead again, Pantheon for damage buffs, Siren again, Jacoby again. This time, instead of Koga, we have Brownie. But something that they have in common is they are both speed buffers. In this particular case, Brownie is going to be a more powerful speed buffer than Koga is, because Koga can only speed up 2 allies with her slide skill, while Brownie can speed up 3 allies with her slide skill. And being the enemy being a water unit, we have 4 woods, and Brownie's just exceptional in this particular Ragna. Move on down, we've got rank 3, Bikini Lisa, Jacoby, Koga. Now instead of Pantheon, we have, I forgot her name, but she does the exact same thing that Pantheon does. Difference is, she is a 4-star unit. Now, a pro tip that a lot of people use in Ragnas particularly is replacing a 5-star unit with an equivalent 4-star unit, because 4-star units have a lower drive gauge, which means it fills up faster. The faster you can fill up your drive gauge, the faster you can fever. The faster you can fever, the higher chance you have of getting that extra fever at the end of the Ragna battle, when there's only seconds left. Which is one of the reasons why, when it comes to Ragna, you cannot have a team that does not have a speed buffer. And we'll click on a couple more teams to show that there is no team in here without a speed buffer. We've got Koga in this one. We have Koga in this one. Scroll down. And we have probably Koga in this one. No team goes without a speed buffer. Now, something that we can see notably that's different in this one is that there is no Bikini Lisa, and instead she has been replaced with a Matt for heals, and there's no Siren or Jacoby. We've got Abaddon and Elizabeth, with Pantheon as the leader, increasing the crit rate for only dark allies. It is an interesting combination to have. I'm surprised they're actually as high up in the damage board as they are, but they probably have a solid set of gear with a solid soul cartas put on them. And in manual mode, Abaddon, Siren, Elizabeth are all tap units, which give them a huge bonus when it comes to Ragnas. You definitely have to manual them. When it comes to auto, they will not perform as well. But manual, Abaddon has 4 hits on his tap skill. Elizabeth has 4 hits on her tap skill. So, it gives you a huge, huge damage output when you manual. So, we went over the menus and how to look at the teams. Now let's find out why some of these teams are made the way they are. You can do that by finding out what your enemy can do. At this moment, I don't have a way of showing you or looking at her skills to show you the enemies, and I'm not really too worried about showing you Tristan's skills or abilities either. So we're just going to focus on White Hand ISO'd. When a Ragna comes around, the Ragna boss usually becomes a unit that you can now acquire. The only means of acquiring that unit is going to be through completing Ragna missions. So definitely stay on top of that. But we can take a sneak peek at what abilities this unit is going to be using against you by going into the archive and finding that unit's tile, clicking on it, and go down to skills. So Isode is the big bad boss of this Ragna. And you can see that her tap skill, or her first skill, deals damage with a 60% chance to inflict freeze. And what freeze does is it slows down and decreases the skill gauge charge speed. And if you have a dot, it will increase how long that dot is going to be on your unit. Her second ability, her slide skill, is a damage to 2 enemies priority with highest attack that will also reduce your skill gauge charge speed by 20% for 14 seconds and will also inflict water balloon upon your enemies, which will deal 300 damage upon being attacked, and then the skill gauge will reset if attacked twice or 10 seconds pass. Her drive deals damage to 3 enemies, prioritizes healers with a 90% chance to inflict freeze, which we already went over that. Leader skill doesn't matter against the Ragna boss. So, how do we counter this enemy? She casts skill gauge down, freeze, and water balloon. So the reason that Bikini Lisa is extremely popular in all the teams is because she is the banner unit of right now, and not only is she an adorable looking unit, but her abilities are on her tap skill, regens your allies, only 2 with the lowest HP as priority, but also has a 70% chance to remove water balloon from 2 of your allies. At this moment that I can think of off the top of my head, Bikini Lisa is the only unit that can remove water balloons, which is why she is super important for this particular Ragna. Now, her slide skill increases the defense of wood type allies, prioritizing your attack units so that they don't die. Gives your 3 wood type allies weak points final skill blow plus 20%, plus also has the 70% chance to remove freeze from 2 allies. So Bikini Lisa is covering both of Isode's debuffs of freeze and water balloon. It does nothing for the skill gauge down though. For that, you'll have to find a different workaround if it's something that you even want to mess with. Now, another huge thing for Bikini Lisa that we already went over is her leader buff. That weak point final blow plus 16% in this raid is going to go a really, really long way. So, those are the 2 units that we're going to go over in that manner. Now, let's go over the team compositions. For myself, on my team, I am running a Jacoby leader because my Bikini Lisa is not maxed out yet. Once I max her out, she will be joining the team and becoming the leader. But for now, Jacoby's skill is the tap skill, has final damage plus 15% damage. I have Siren plus 5 on my team, which again I've maxed out her tap skill. I'm not too worried about her slide skill because I won't be using it. Now, if you're going to set your team on auto, of course you're going to want all of the skills maxed out, because auto will slide skill and tap skill in random intervals. Now, since I don't have Bikini Lisa in the team at the moment to remove the freeze and the water balloon, there is a healer that can take her place, kind of. We have Abyssal Mat, which her tap skill can remove freeze and petrify from one ally. That is a guaranteed. Not a chance, but a guaranteed. So if you are not using Bikini Lisa, Matt is definitely a good substitute for this event at the moment, because she can remove that freeze. I'm going with Pantheon for the damage buff, and with my Koga because she is completely maxed out and ready to go. Now, what I wanted to do with this video is also create a couple of other team options that people could use if they don't have these exact units. There are teams that are way better than mine. As you can see, I'm not even in the top 100, even though my units are, for the most part, pretty high leveled, that I will not be breaking into the top 100. Now, when you're just starting out, if you just started out recently with this Blue Blaze crossover, you do not have that many 5 stars, and the 5 stars you do have might not fit for this Ragna. Such as if you have a Moff Det, if you have a Moff Det +1, she is extremely powerful, but she might not be the best choice for this Ragna as your main attacker. So I'm going to go to the first team that I have set off to the side. This team is going to be a very similar to my main team, except instead of buffing my damage with Pantheon, we're going to be debuffing the enemy with Midas. It's one way that if you don't have Pantheon, and if you don't have the 4-star variant of Pantheon, you can substitute in Midas to get rid of some of the defense that your enemy has and deal more damage that way. You can definitely, if you don't have Bikini Lisa or if you don't have Jacoby, you can definitely use Midas as a viable leader, because his weak point defense -8% will go a long way if you have a strong wood type unit as your attacker. Now, if your main DPS is not a wood type unit, Midas would not serve as a very good leader. You would definitely want to find a different composition if you're not going with a solid wood attack team. Now, we keep Koga in pretty much everything. If you have a Koga, Koga will be your leader, hands down. But there are some speed buff replacement units that you can use if you do not have Koga. Arya is a decent speed buff unit. She's not that great in my opinion, but she can increase your drive gauge. She's not a speed buff unit. She can still increase your drive gauge though, which is good, I guess. But again, I would put Arya in the back of the line as far as speed buff units go. If you have Nias, she is an extremely good substitute for Koga. Her tap and her slide both increase the drive gauge or the speed of the gauge. If you don't have either one of those 4-star units, some people use Quintius, but I would prefer Maya over Quintius for Ragnas specifically, because Maya does a higher percentage of skill gauge charge. So for Maya, her first is 25% on one ally, Her slide is 26% on 2 allies, prioritizing your DPS units. If we switch over to Quintarius, which is going to be way down here. I'm probably saying her name wrong. I don't spend too much time using the 4-star unit since I have a 6 Koga. I have been blessed by the RNGesus. Alright, here we are. Quirinius. So, for her tap, you gain agility. Her slide, you gain only 20% on 2 allies. So Maya, by far, in my opinion, is a better unit to have. But her leader buff is 1% less than Quinarius. Oh well. That is a trade-off that you can afford because it will still increase your overall damage. So again, this is just one team that you can go for. And again, we've got leader ability that increases your main attacker's ability to output damage. And she acts as healer that can remove the debuffs. You've got your debuffer to increase your attack unit's damage upon the boss, and the speed unit. You'll see that that is really that's the meta. You have your one healer, your attack unit. Sometimes you go with one attack unit if you can have decent supports that deal enough damage while buffing your main attack unit, or you'll run 2 DPS on Ragna. That's pretty much a given every time. So, next team setup that I have for you is, let's say you don't have Matt, you don't have Bikini Lisa. You can use Syrinx as a healer that will fortify and keep your units up. But let's say you don't have Syrinx either. You got Epona, Epona, however you pronounce her name. Well, she defense up, evasion's up, grants barrier, grants vampirism for 15%. Which is actually a really good ability because when you pair vampirism up for 15% on attack, if you pair that up with units like Abaddon and Siren that do 4 attacks on their tap skill, you're gaining 60% of your HP back on 1 tap. So it's super, super powerful. But it's not ideal. You definitely want to run this team if it's a last case scenario. Now, running double Abaddon and Siren is a good thing, but the rest of the team setup is a maybe. Now, I did a 4th and final setup with only 4-star units, native 4-star units. I have some of them already at +6, 6-star. I wanted to save Lita for last because Lita is an amazing healer that if you are brand new and starting out and you don't have a solid 5-star healer, you want to absolutely invest in Lita. She will carry you through the entire game until you get a +4 5-star healer. She is absolutely amazing. Best healer in game until she's not. Now, with this little setup, I didn't make it complete because there are a couple of 4-star units that are viable. So, to start out, we have Lita as the healer and Maya as the speed buffer. I threw Tristan in here because it's the brand new unit and they were trying to add him in as a cheap or easy to get unit that you can actually use in this Ragna. If you do end up using Tristan, you gotta keep in mind that you want to slide with Tristan because you get that base damage plus ignore damage and it hits 3 times. So it's kind of like as if you were using Siren or Abaddon, those ×4 attacks, but not really. If you've been playing for a little bit longer, then you might have come across your I don't even know how to pronounce this name. Tisiphone? You might have come across this unit. And she is more like Siren than the other units because the tap skill gives you 3 hits plus vampirism. Now the vampirism on this unit is not that great since it's not a percentage base. It's only a 40 HP on attack, which is actually terrible. But if this unit is dying, instead of tap hitting, slide so that you can hit 3 times and absorb 8% of the damage. 8% of the damage 3 times gives you 24% HP per slide. Not bad. Not amazing, but not bad. So you're definitely going to want to use this 4-star unit as your attacker if you do not have any better attackers to throw in. Now, one thing that I did want to show is our 4-star version of Midas. Midas was a weak point debuffer. So when it comes to throwing in those 4-star units, a lot of people like to use Persephone more than anything else, but I would argue against that. She is really good if you find yourself dying, because you can drive with Persephone to reduce the attack damage of your enemy by 30%, and that will help you live longer, as well as having her as the leader so that you can take 10% off the top of your enemy's damage, which again will help you live longer if you find that dying is an issue. But at the same time, if dying is an issue, you might be able to just swap in a tank with one of your units in order to survive. You don't want to use a tank unless surviving increases your damage. Most of the time, it probably won't. So Persephone can increase or decrease the crit rate of the enemy, as well as lower their attack and lower their weak point defense. But it's not at a very high percentage. In order to get a decent weak point defense down, you would have to drive with Persephone to get the 20% for 16 seconds. So, in place of Persephone, a lot of people like to use the Melpomene. Melpomene is the 4-star equivalent of Pantheon. Melpomene's tap ability gives you the crit plus 30% to one random ally. The slide gives you the 30% crit plus 25% crit damage to 2 allies. So she comes in pretty handy because her abilities are not that much worse than Pantheon's. Of course, Pantheon's is way better when you start leveling up, uncapping, and maxing out. But for a 4-star unit, she'll be easy to max, quick to max out, and very useful in Ragnas to come until you can get a Pantheon to where Pantheon needs to be. I want to say that's really all the things that I wanted to go over. Was there anything else? I mean, other than that, guys, really it's just about trial and error. Create your teams, go in there, hit the boss, and change things around if something doesn't sit right. Also, don't forget to equip your Ragna team with the best gear that you have, the best soul cartas that you can. Everything plays a role. I know before I optimized my Ragna team, once I started seeing that I wasn't one-shotting the Ragnas anymore, then I optimized the gear for my Ragna team, changed it up, and kept on one-shotting after that up until right now. I'm on level 36, and now I cannot one-shot them. It definitely takes 2 hits in order to complete if I want to do it solo, which I don't. So let's talk about Ragna tips before we head off, actual. So best case scenario, when it comes to Ragnas, you want to only attack once in each Ragna. You want to attack it once and deal enough damage to where people can come in, kill it off, and you will still get that level up. You will get more coins overall if you only attack once and let it complete and then use a ticket on a separate Ragna than you can if you use 3 tickets on one Ragna to get first place. It will definitely cut into your overall profits of Ragna coin. Other than that, guys, I look forward to seeing all of y'all in the game. I would say add me as a friend so I could help complete your Ragnas if needed, but at this very moment, I am in a unique situation where pretty much all my friends are on within my threshold. I'd like to kick after 3 days, and I find it odd that it says 2 days right now because I had everyone was at below 1 day just this morning, and now that says 2 days. It's strange, but yeah. So good luck to everyone out there. Stay strong. Make sure that you stay active, and if you really enjoy the game, don't hesitate to buy a gift pack. Let the developers know that Global enjoys the game, because I would love to see Destiny Child last forever. Alright, guys, thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button, and I'll see you in the next video.